And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with the Game Boy Geek.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today, we're going to be traveling across the world all the way to India to a place called Jaipur. This city has a lot of history. It's a city with a lot of trading of goods and markets and bazaars. And this is also a two-player card game from GameWorks. Now, it's a simple card game where we're going to be trading and buying all sorts of things like leather and spices and cloth and diamonds and silver and gold. Oh my! And so, it's a lot of fun. Let's check it out. I'll show you how it's played. I'll teach you how to negotiate for things, how to throw things down. Oh, and don't forget the camels. After riding a camel this year was quite the amazing experience if you've never done that. If you've never ridden a camel before, it's awesome. Lots of camels in this game. It's a big part of the game. Let's check it out. In Jaipur, you're essentially buying and selling different things at the market, so at the end of the game, you'll have more points than your opponent. Let's take a look at the different resources that are available in the game. I'm going to work my way from right to left, and I want you to notice two things. As I go right to left, the ones of lesser values are going to be on the right, and the ones with most values are going to be on the left. So as we look here, we have leather on the right, followed by spices, followed by cloth, followed by silver, gold, and diamonds. Now the second thing that I want you to notice as looking at some of these things is that you'll notice that the highest value of each material or good, the highest values are at the top, and they are all in order going down into lesser values from the bottom. Think of the top as being the beginning of the market and the bottom as the least market. So you're going to be wanting to trade and get goods earlier in the game versus later. Now this game is set up, at the beginning it always will have 3 camels to start with, and then 2 random cards are placed, and then each person is going to be randomly given 5 cards. These are normally kept in your hand in secret of the opponent, but for the video I'm showing you on the table what they look like. Now if you've been given a camel at the beginning of the game, camels always, whenever you have them, they stay face up next to you, and that's part of like what they call the herd. So I'm left with a camel face up, and these would be in my hands. So on your turn, you're essentially doing one of 2 major things. You're either going to be taking goods from the market or selling goods. So let's look at selling goods first. If I wanted to sell a good, I have this spice here. I would just take this one card. I only have one of them. I would sell it. This would be like, say, a discard pile. And I would take the top amount. Because I sold 1 card, I could take 1 of these. Now keep in mind that these are higher values to lower values going up. So selling them early is really beneficial, especially for the least expensive ones. So I would take this 5 points and I would place it there. That's selling. If I had 2 spices here and I put 2 of them down at the same time, I would have been able to take the top 2 of these. So however many goods you sell is how many tokens of money pieces you get to take from there. So that's essentially selling. Now there's a rule that these 3 are sort of the lesser expensive types, and these 3 are the more expensive types. The only rule in selling is that if I am selling one of these 3 more valuable items, I always have to sell a minimum of 2 at a time. So if I wanted to sell diamonds, I would have to sell 2 of them at least at a time, but I can sell as many as I want. And I would then take, again, since I sold 2, I would take 2 of these tokens, which these are the most expensive. These are $7 a piece, as you can see, and I take them there. So that's sort of selling. Now you only do 1 of these per turn, and then it's the other person's turn. So I would have sold spices, and then the other person would have had a chance to go, and then I would have sold diamonds. So let's talk about taking cards. When you're taking cards, you have 2 choices. You can take 1 card, and I would just take this and add it to my hand, and if I take 1 card and add it to my hand, I then flip over a new card to replace it. So that's one little thing that I can take. Also, I can exchange. So if I want to take more than 1 card, I have to exchange or replace them with either cards that are in my hand or these camels over here. The camels that I have are really good for exchanging. So let's say I wanted to grab this silver and this diamond, and I wanted to add 2 of these to my hand. Since I took more than 1, I have to do an exchange. I can't just take, and I have to exchange with that 2 cards. And those 2 cards can be anything from my hand and or any camels that I have. So I could exchange them for both gold if I wanted to, or I could exchange them for 1 camel and a gold, or if I had 2 camels over here, I could have exchanged them for 2 camels. So any sort of difference or combination of camels and or cards from my hand, you can sort of give them up. And that would have exchanged them, and that would have been my hand. The last thing you can do is on a turn is when you're taking things, you can actually take the camels. But when you take the camels, you have to take all of them. And this is good and bad. It's good because now that you have 4 camels for exchanging things that come out later, but the bad news is it's going to be your opponent's turn, and now they get to see new cards that you have not yet been able to see. So it's a little risk to see if they, to see if you want them to see things. So I now have 4 camels in my herd, but now the other opponent gets to get first dibs at some of these here. Now when selling cards, if you sell more than 3 at a time, 3 or more at any time, let's say I have these 3 silver, and for my turn, I'm going to sell all 3 of these silver to the discard pile. I'm going to take the 3 silver coins, but anytime you sell 3 or more, you get some of these bonus tokens. This one you see has a face of 3 cards on it, so I would take this one because I sold 3 at a time. And these are secret bonus points. In this case it's a 1, but I believe these ones go to 1, 2, or 3. So if you sold 3, you'd take this one. If you sold 4, and if you sold 5, you'd take this one. And as you get these different bonuses, the points behind them go up and up, depending on how many you've sold. And this keeps going on back and forth to each other, and the game ends in one of 2 ways. If one of any 3 of these markets are depleted, the game ends. Or if, when refilling the market to 5, if you've run out of cards from the draw pile and you cannot refill the market, the game ends. You would then count up all your points of all your tokens, plus the bonus tokens from any bonuses. And at the end of the game, the person who has the most camels in their herd will get this 5-point bonus. And the person who has the most points from their tokens, bonus points, is the winner. And they've won 1 game of Jaipur, and they would get 1 of these tokens with the man's face on it. And essentially you're playing 2 out of 3, and whoever wins 2 out of 3 rounds first is the winner. Alright, well there's Jaipur. I actually really liked this simple card game. It's small, fits in a backpack, you could actually play it on a plane. I recently went to Dice Tower Con, and this was one of the games I bought at Cool Stuff in the back of the convention there. I'm on the way home from a plane, and I actually played this on a plane, on the trays. Check out this picture right here. Of the tray of me playing with a complete stranger, because the game's easy to teach. It fits on a tray and a plane. You can play it anywhere. You can carry it anywhere. It's compact. Great game. I love that it's a light game that's easy to teach, but yet the strategy in it can be not as light. I mean, it's a light game to play, but if you really get into it and you play, since it's a 2-player game, you really get to know your opponent and what their tendencies are. There actually is a deeper level of strategy than you might think once you get into it. I love the fact that, the balancing of the game where the cheaper goods, you can sell just 1, versus the heavier goods, the more expensive ones, you got to sell at least 2. It kind of evens it out there. Plus, with the earlier, with the smaller, less expensive goods, you really got to get at those quick because those numbers drop like a rock at the points. I love how it kind of initiates you to try to get bigger bonuses by selling more than 3 or more goods. That's an interesting thing. Having the most camels at the end, again, adds just another play on the strategy. I love the idea with the camels that you got to take them all or nothing, and then when you're grabbing more than 1 goods and you're exchanging things, you can use your own cards or the camels, and it's like trading power. Genius, I love it. So I really like this game overall. It's very easy to teach. My wife, who's not a gamer, loves it. It's easy to teach. I can't say a bad thing really about it. It's quick. It takes like 15 or 20 minutes really to play, and it's really a winner. So if you're looking for a good 2-player game that's easy to teach, fun to play, and has a long-term staying power in your collection, you got to check out Jaipur.
So much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool Stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.